Hi guys, it's Louisa, and today's video, it's gonna get pretty juicy. In today's video, I'm gonna be sharing 10 of my most unpopular opinions about good old Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida. But not an unpopular opinion. I rule the Magic Kingdom. That's not unpopular, that's just true, let's be honest. Before I launch into the video, please follow my YouTube Instagram at louisa.ruby and my dance Instagram at louisarholland. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, write a comment, and subscribe for more videos. A little note just before I launch into my opinions, I just want to say that I absolutely love Disney World, and these opinions are not to offend anyone. I don't dislike or hate any of the things that I'm going to talk about in this list. I don't have problems with them. They're just not my cup of tea. I definitely know some people are not going to agree with these opinions, and that's okay. I don't expect anyone to, but these are just my personal opinions. Be sure to watch the whole video all the way through because I did rank these and put them in order from, least juicy, least controversial, least unpopular to most juicy, most controversial, and probably pretty unpopular. Okay, let's do this. Number 1, I love the Figment ride in Epcot, but it's not because of Figment. So this isn't that unpopular of opinion because I feel like people, how they feel about Figment, 50% love him, 50% don't understand why people love him. So that's not really that unpopular, but I do feel like my reasoning for really liking the Figment ride and it not being because of Figment necessarily is very interesting and not quite a popular thing. I do like Figment, but that's not the reason I love that ride. The reason I love that ride is because when I was a little girl and, throughout my childhood, my dad and I always used to watch the live action Disney movies from the 60s and 70s, mainly the Love Bug movies or the Herbie movies and the Kurt Russell collection, which included the movie The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, which I just absolutely love. I think it's hilarious. In the Figment ride, you actually get to see the computer from that movie or a recreation of it, and you get to see the tennis shoes outside the door. And I just love that, nod or that recognition of that movie because my friends, didn't watch those movies growing up, and now because of Disney Plus, they can, but no one ever really talks about the Kurt Russell movies from that era of Disney, and it was really nice to see it get some recognition. And so I love that ride because that just gives me nostalgia, and it just makes me really happy for all the times I got to watch that movie and other movies like it with my dad. Number 2, Tower of Terror is the ride I am most scared to go on. And this is kind of interesting. I first rode Tower of Terror when I was 12 and I went to Disney World for the first time on a family vacation. And I was, scared to go on it, but I enjoyed it. I loved it. That's fine. And I'm a person that likes, thrill rides. I'm a roller coaster girl, so that's not like an issue. But then last year during my Disney College program, I was terrified riding it the times I did with my friends. I would make sure when I rode it that I was the closest one to the wall, and literally in some pictures and things, you just see me with my eyes closed clutching the wall. And I don't know why, now that I'm older, it just scares me more. I also am not the biggest fan of like dropping rides, but it is kind of funny that now Tower of Terror is just, it scares me the most to go on, and I feel like I get more scared every time I ride it. I love the theming though, and I love the concept of the ride. Opinion number 3. Animal Kingdom is an all-day park. The popular opinion is that Animal Kingdom is a half-day park, and I disagree with this. I think that there is a lot to do in Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom has some great rides. They have both thrill rides and more, child-friendly rides. And they have tons of character meet and greets, at Dino Land, Safari, Mickey and Minnie. Love them, they are great. Right now, this isn't necessarily applicable with Disney opening up after its closing and how there's a lot less character meet and greets, but that's in all the parks. And so I'm kind of saying this from before they closed and before they're now reopening with restrictions. But I definitely think you can make Animal Kingdom a full day park. Now we're starting to get to where people might not like me very much. Just starting to get there, and we're only at number 4. Number 4, Big Thunder Mountain doesn't really have any big thunder for me. I feel like every time I ride Big Thunder Mountain, I get amnesia because my friends will be like, hey, there's not a long line for Big Thunder Mountain. Let's go. And I'm like, okay. And when I get in the queue, I kind of like forget about all the times I've ridden it before, and I'm in the queue and I'm like, I'm getting excited. I'm like, yes, this is going to be great. And then we start to, go up for, the first part of the ride, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And then the like ride really gets going and I'm like, yes, this ride. I understand that it's a kiddie, not a kiddie coaster, but I understand that it's, more of a tame roller coaster, and it's a great first coaster for, for kids if it's their first roller coaster going on, but it just doesn't do anything for me. And I get amnesia after I ride the ride. I'm like, okay, that did nothing for me. And then I completely forget about it until the next time I'm in the queue and I'm like, woohoo! And then I get on it and I'm disappointed again. It's not my favorite. It doesn't do much for me. Number 5. Hollywood Studios is my least favorite park. I know. I think the main reason why it's my least favorite park is because last year when I did my Disney College program, because of the opening of Galaxy's Edge and Rise of the Resistance, a lot of cast members, we were blocked out of Hollywood Studios for chunks of time. So before we were blocked out, my friends, whenever we were thinking about going to a park for a day, they were always like, let's go to Hollywood Studios because we're not going to be able to go to Hollywood Studios as much in the future. And, with that logic, of course, yeah, let's go to Hollywood Studios. And I think just because so much happened in Hollywood Studios and everyone was talking about that park all of last year, I think I just got kind of tired of it. I love the theming. I love the idea of Hollywood Studios, and Hollywood Studios has some amazing attractions. I think I just got kind of burnt out on it personally. I still like it. It's just my personal choice. It's not my number one park or my number one choice to go to. Opinion number 6. Flight of Passage in Animal Kingdom is not my most favorite ride of all time. I know. I definitely understand why people love this ride and why people will get a fast pass and wait forever for it. I understand. It's very technologically advanced and it's incredible. But there are a couple reasons why it's just not my favorite ride personally. Number 1, I've never seen Avatar, so it's the whole concept. I mean, if I had watched that movie, I'd be like, oh, okay, like, cool, this means more to me. Like, I understand more of what's going on. And the second reason that it's also not my favorite ride of all time was because that's the only ride in Disney that kind of made me a little sick to my stomach, which I think is interesting because, as I said earlier, I'm a big roller coaster girl. I don't ever, really get nauseous on rides. So I thought that was interesting. That was the one that made me, feel nauseous and like need to go take a drink break and whatnot. So I definitely understand why people like it. Don't get me wrong, but it's not in my top favorite rides to ride at Disney World. Number 7, I actually like Mission Space in Epcot, both green and orange missions. I don't know. I never hear people talk about Mission Space, and if I do hear them talk about it, they don't like it. And I never really see people over there riding that ride. Whenever me and my friends visited Epcot, we never did Mission Space as friends. I only ever did Mission Space when my family was in town and we were like, oh, okay, what's that ride? And I know Mission Space does make people, particularly the orange mission, makes people sick. And I understand that if that's the reason you don't like it. But for some reason, I'm fine on both the green and the orange. I like it, and yeah, I like Mission Space. Whoops. Number 8. I don't understand Fantasmic and why people love it so much. I definitely understand that it is, for a lot of people, it's very nostalgic. They love it. Like, they have seen it when they were a kid first visiting Disney World, and then now as an adult, they love it because it reminds them of their younger trips, or, trips they took when they were younger, which I completely understand. And I say to people that I don't understand Fantasmic, they're like, what's so hard to understand? It's about Mickey and the dream, like, villains invading his dream. It's not that hard. Correct. But I don't understand why there's so much extra stuff in it. I feel like it takes a while for the villains to like invade Mickey's dream and for us to like really kind of get into that main plot line. And then they do a condensed version of Pocahontas. And I just don't necessarily understand why that ties into the Fantasmic storyline. And I've watched it multiple times, and yeah, I don't get the love for it. It's not my favorite fireworks show, and yeah, I don't understand. Opinion number 9. The Princess and the Frog should have gotten a restaurant in Walt Disney World before getting a ride. Now, let me say this off the bat. I absolutely agree that Splash Mountain needs to be rethemed, and I'm very happy that Princess and the Frog is going to be an attraction. And I believe that the Princess and the Frog absolutely needs representation in the parks. So I don't have a problem with that. I just think if we go back a few years, that the first thing that should have been happening in the parks that represented Princess and the Frog really should have been a restaurant. And the reason for this is because Tiana is one of the few Disney princesses that actually has a hobby and a career, as opposed to they just love singing and going exploring. Like, that's kind of a main trait of all the Disney princesses. But Tiana had a hobby. It was cooking, and she also made a career out of it. And I think that's something that Disney really should have, played with and embraced. And I really think that that's a missed opportunity, that the first thing in the parks is going to be a ride. And I think they could have done such a cute thing with a restaurant. And so I just personally feel like that would have been a better representation of that particular movie than a ride. And opinion number 10. I don't think Walt Disney World Resort should be reopening right now. Now, this is what I'll say about this. I am not mad at Disney for reopening. Of course they're going to reopen. SeaWorld and Universal are also, open and, back to the public. And they've been doing it for about a month longer than Disney. Like, Disney really did take extra precautions. So I actually really admired the Disney company for, really taking the time to make sure they had the policies and procedures in place. I personally don't think any of those theme parks in Orlando should be, open right now, especially with the number of daily cases that are going on in Florida. I'm not a health expert or anything like that, and I understand that cast members want to go back to work. I understand, and it's hard to find a solution right now that makes everybody happy. But personally, I just think with how many cases there are in Florida, that none of the theme parks should be open, including Disney. Anyways, those are 10 of my most unpopular opinions about Walt Disney World Resort. If you guys disagree, or if you agree with any of these, please leave me a comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with a brand new video. Bye!